Hi, it's Jeff Ogden with Find New Customers, back again with Jim Burns of Avitage. Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you, Jeff. Nice to be with you.
Good. In our last session, we talked about using video in B2B marketing, particularly what is video and how do you think about video? What I'd like to talk with you about today, Jim, is how do we use videos in B2B marketing? What are the opportunities where we can deploy video?
So one of the things that we think about is, we said video is content. And I love this idea from Clayton Christensen, the parallel of what is the job that we want content to do for us, and what is the job our customers want our content to do. So, and we have to have that context for thinking about, well, where is video the right tool? Early on in the buying, selling process, certainly from a sales perspective, we want to capture attention. And video, I think, does an excellent job of being able to, because of its dynamics, because of the audio element, and because it can be viewed with a click and it starts to stream and it can be very short, it's a great attention getter. More and more, the content we're trying to develop is educational in nature. So one of the things we did is we looked back over the last 15 years and said, well, what technologies are we using to educate? Well, we're using sort of narrated PowerPoint and audio, and that's a video-like experience and has the advantage of being able to provide tailoring for relevance, which is key in that middle area. And then I think the third component has to do with later stage buying, where what we really want to be able to do is deliver subject expert, often customer-oriented proof points that help to persuade our customers to take action and change what they've been doing, preferably to work with us. Let me just show a quick example, because I think if we look at the entire buying, selling process, we're going to find lots of opportunities from the front end, discussing customer needs. Then for many companies selling a broad portfolio of products, they just have a difficult time for their sales channel, whether they're direct, inside sales, or channel sales, to introduce and position their companies and their offers. So the ability to package that message up and deliver it in video for consistency and accuracy is priceless. And so I think what we can do is look throughout the entire process and find huge opportunities, especially when the goal is to motivate and to persuade, explain complexity, explain nuance. And for me, messaging is all about nuance.
That's an interesting. I really like the way you describe, Jim, the buying process and what the job of the content is to do, because that gives you a roadmap on how to create your content, what your content should be about. Because I think one of the problems so many B2B marketers that I've seen is, what do I do? They have no roadmap to go on. And by aligning it with the buying process, it really gives them, they can see where the gaps are and where they need to fill. Now, what I'd like to talk about now, Jim, the question I'd like to ask you, and you've got kind of a radical idea that I'd like to explore, right? That historically, content has all been done in marketing, right? And it's all about nurturing leads and getting them to raise their hand and passing it over to sale. But you actually have been advocating that video plays a role in the sales process. That's new to most of us. What did you mean by that, Jim?
So I headed into this whole world 20 years ago when I got frustrated with a videotape that marketing gave me. I started to experience more situations where I couldn't use it. It wasn't relevant enough. It was too high-level messaging. It didn't address the right technical questions that we couldn't explain, but our customers were asking. The technology that was embedded in the video was becoming obsolete over a very short period of time. So the thought occurred to me, what if there was a way that a salesperson could assemble and deliver a video that was tailored to their specific customer, their specific audience, even an audience of one. And that's the journey that I've been on. So how does a salesperson want to use video? Well, we still have to generate a lot of our own prospects, but we don't have websites and content marketing and lead gen and marketing automation. So the ability to use a video vignette inside of an email to capture attention and to entice someone into speaking with us is a huge tool. I think also we really need the ability to have third parties delivering our messages. As we start to work with a company, we end up working with a sponsor, and they say things like, well, what material can you give me that I can share with my colleagues to get them enrolled in what we're talking about? Or maybe we just had a meeting, but a key person wasn't in the meeting. A lot of us have been leaving our PowerPoint decks for years, and it occurs to me that they don't say very much on our behalf. And now I'm dependent upon my sponsor to tell my story. So a video takes control, makes it easier for my sponsors to do that, makes it easier for other third parties, referral sources to do that. And then later in the buying stage, and a really key element that gets in some respects overused in some businesses, is I need to bring technical explanations, often technical expertise, into customer meetings. Now that's fine at the right time, but for many of us we overuse it. So early on I need to bring that expert in, and the technology industry has been calling this the four-legged sales call for years. So we want to package up technical insights, technical explanations. We want to package up customer insights and testimonials. So maybe I need to use customer references, but live references get old very quickly for those key customers. How many prospects can you bring for that reference? And so packaging that. And then finally, in the late stages, my customers asking me very specific buying-oriented questions. They sound like objections to me, but if I don't address them well, I may lose the deal. And so I need proof points that are persuasive. And nothing is more persuasive than the right content packaged and delivered in video. Lastly, I think as we've been working with messaging with our customers, we ask the question, in whose voice should this message be delivered? And you know what we found? Most of the time it really shouldn't be delivered in the voice of the sales rep. The credibility just isn't there. It needs to be in the voice of the executive. I wish I could be with you there today, but I just want to deliver my personal message of how important you are to our company, the technical person and, of course, the customer.
Right. Very good. In fact, Jim, an interesting discussion I had heard some of the top sales experts talking about how sales has changed. Whether sales was at an inflection point. And the point they made, actually Dave Stein of ES Research actually said B2B sales has changed more in the last 3 years than it has in the last 100 years, which I thought was an interesting one. But they talk about how the salesperson needs to be the quarterback, the conductor, the maestro, bringing all these resources to bear. Well, it would be prohibitively expensive to fly in experts and bring in customers, everything, but you're absolutely right. The video can play that role.
Well, and when you marry the need for this content, this video content to be relevant, who can best determine what's relevant to a specific customer, a specific individual? So the challenge that we have is, how do we make it so that the salesperson doesn't have to become the production person? That's not what we're talking about at all. But what we are saying is, how would someone in marketing, or even worse, a third-party production group, how would they know how to build the right relevant content for my specific customer? So we have a whole new challenge in how we think about video, how we think about creating it, driven by the buyer's requirements that video better be relevant, and anything more than that, I'm not interested. Who's best to determine that? It's the people on the front line. And not just salespeople, sales engineers and sales support, inside sales. Marketing people have the same issues when they go and they're building out lead nurturing. They need to be able to tailor and target those nurturing elements, and video can be really important because of the educational component. How do we enable that? technical specialists. They're not going to jump in and be doing video editing to be able to build out these different variations. I think the time limit is maybe 5 minutes to get something tailored. So we need to think about that. And you're right, social media as a marketing and sales tool is on us today. It's a phenomenally potential tool. It is so content dependent, and yet what is the time experience around most social media? With Twitter, it's look at a tweet and click on something. And if that is a video that pops open relative to maybe a PDF that I have to download and read, it's going to be a different experience. So I think there's huge opportunities there if we build the content right, and that's the big challenge. We typically are lacking in models for how we do that, and I would suggest that the traditional, what I call point production model, won't get us there.
Very interesting, Jim. We live in a very different world and a fast-changing world. Thank you for your insight. Now let me ask you this. If someone wants to get in touch with you and Avitage, how would they go about doing that?
Very simple, www.avitage.com, which, by the way, we put that name together off of playing around with this idea of audio-video montage. And, of course, a montage is a picture made from other pictures. So our image is that marketing and content professionals, production professionals, need to be building out that source material. But people on the front line of business need to be able to do the access that source material, select what is appropriate, tailor it, maybe personalize it, and then determine the right delivery medium, whether it's text, whether it's audio, whether it's PowerPoint slides because I'm delivering a webinar, or whether it's video.
Thanks, Jim. This has been a fascinating discussion.
Thank you, Jeff. Good to be with you.